Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we are going to talk about a problem, and maybe a big problem that sort of represents what's going on with this game at the moment. And it's this post by Flat Profession 8945. And it says, for the first time in the history of LOR, the cutoff for between, I think this meant to be seasonals, not worlds, but ended with 600 NA players, 560 Europe players, 230 Asia players, and 390 Southeast Asian players making it to Masters. Will we get players from Diamond to complete the 700 on ladder? Now, this number 700 refers to sort of how many players are in the seasonal tournament, or the first rounds of the seasonal tournament. And obviously, none of these have made the cutoff. Now, I do know that the Asian regions, because they have less players, haven't always met this either. I do know that that is something that has happened, but it definitely has never happened, as far as I know, to NA or Europe, and I know that they do have some kind of contingency for that when it does happen. But I know that it's never happened for NA or Europe, and I personally remember times when, you had to grind not just to Masters, but to, sort of the top half, top 2/3 of Masters to get into this 700 cutoff, and there was kind of a race within Masters to try and get up there. I remember those days. So this really is a pretty big fall off from those days in the NA and Europe regions, and perhaps, showcases what is really going on with this game. Now, as I'm sure we're all aware, this meta is a bit stale and a bit boring, and you're tired of poppy elusives and band or burn. I'm sure you are. But if we kind of, go into the comments, they also mentioned something that I think is really important, and that is no surprise really, this meta has been painful, and Riot completely failed at addressing it with the last balance patch while refusing to emergency fix it. Almost like people don't enjoy playing the same decks for 9 months with different paint. Retail let live balance, the entire edge this game has over MTG, fall by the wayside. We think live balance used to be the best thing this game had. They think their biggest mistake was balancing the game too frequently, and I know that for me and for other players as well, who perhaps switched from MTG Arena to LOR, which I did, and I know that Mogwai, for instance, did that as well. One of the key reasons, I'm sure, and Mogwai would probably say so as well, was the live balance of the game, that the game was constantly, updating itself and refreshing itself all the time, and it felt like from MTG, where the cards sort of can't change because of the physical actual cards, it was like, oh my god, what an absolute dream of a game this is. And that combined with the sort of free-to-play, element that you could unlock all the cards really quickly as well, just made it, such an appealing game. But of course, by now, we have sort of fallen by the wayside a bit in terms of that life balance, as those comments were addressing. Now, of course, that isn't the only thing to blame either. Of course, Path of Champions just came out, and people will have been playing Path of Champions instead of playing Ranked. I'm sure there's many people who have just been playing Path of Champions more, and that means that they haven't got to Masters. And, Riot would probably say that they're perfectly fine with that, and that seems like a valid thing to have done, and that they're perfectly fine with people doing that instead if that's how they want to play the game. And that's fine. That is an absolutely valid point, and I'm sure that it will have taken away some of those players. But still, even with that said, I think most of you are probably thinking what I'm thinking with that argument, is that Masters players, the kind of competitively, driven type players, probably aren't the ones that sort of Path of Champions was directed at. The players who were commonly sort of pushing themselves to get to the top of ranked ladder probably aren't the same kind of people who would really enjoy Path of Champions as much as, say, more casual players of the game. And I'm sure most of you would probably agree that that's a fair statement. So this kind of does speak to what is going on with this game at the moment, and maybe this gives this a claim to being the worst meta of all time. I wouldn't quite say it was, but even so, even in the days of Lee Sin Targon, even in the days of Azir Aurelia, TF Fizz, Aphelios TF, all these horrendous decks to play against, this never happened, which kind of maybe speaks to what is going on with this game right now. But with that said, I'd love to know what you think. Are there anything else, any other reasons that maybe I didn't think of that, would explain what is going on? Or is it solely on the fact that, the top decks are kind of boring to play against and the meta is stale and all of that? Is that just the main reason? Or is there something else? I'd love to know about it. And with that said, thank you so much for watching and have a really nice day.